Hello and welcome back to my channel. If you're new here, my name is Rachelann and I have a series on my channel all about nutritional myth busting. I actually studied nutritional science in college and graduated back in 2018 at San Jose State. And today we're going to be addressing a myth that I get asked about all the time. It's something that I even fell for or believed before I studied nutrition, and that is the idea that breakfast is the most important meal of the day. And to address why this is a myth and kind of break it down for you guys, there's 4 main points that we will be discussing. And that is, does eating breakfast boost your metabolism? Does skipping breakfast cause weight gain? And why do breakfast eaters tend to have healthier habits? And finally, the positive and negative effects of skipping breakfast on the body. And just to give you guys a quick, breakdown, if you take anything away from this video, I came to the conclusion at the end of this video that breakfast is optional. And eating breakfast is not necessary for everyone to live a healthy life. In fact, there have been health benefits associated with not eating breakfast as well as eating breakfast. So it really comes down to a personal choice and personal preference. But to dive into the video, the first thing I'd like to talk about is where this idea came from and how it's changed. So, it was once thought that eating breakfast was necessary and in fact one of the most important factors of setting up a healthy day or a healthy lifestyle. And research has since shown that this might not be the case for most adults. And for the sake of this video, we're going to be focusing on the effects of eating breakfast and skipping breakfast in adults and not children. To give a brief background on that, it actually is still true for most children and teens, especially young students, that eating breakfast is the most important meal of the day. And that's because young students' brains actually use half of their body's energy on a daily basis to develop and learn. And some of the benefits of eating breakfast in the morning for students are that they have increased concentration, improved test scores, higher energy levels. They also have improved level of nutrients and vitamins that are, obviously consumed throughout the day. And finally, they just have a healthier body weight overall when students are eating breakfast on a regular basis. And I know here in the US, in most public schools or all public schools, we actually have programs in place that provide students whose parents can't afford to buy them breakfast, free breakfast in the morning. So if you're a parent out there and you're listening to this, worried that you haven't been giving your kid breakfast, definitely look into those programs in your school because it's something I highly recommend, and most doctors, dietitians, nutritionists would recommend for your child. So back to adults. When discussing adults, research indicates that forgoing breakfast may result in reduced calorie intake, which in turn can cause weight loss, improved blood sugar control, as well as a reduce in inflammation in the body. To address our first point, does eating breakfast boost your metabolism? So some people claim that eating breakfast actually kickstarts the metabolism and is necessary each morning to, keep yourself on a regular schedule and keep your metabolism, active and whatnot. But this is actually a myth. And this idea stems from the thermic effect of food. The thermic effect of food is the increase in calories burned when calories are consumed or after you eat. And the reason that this is a myth is because when it comes to your metabolism, what matters is the total amount of food consumed, and it makes no difference at what times you eat or how often you eat. So, studies have shown that there is actually no difference in calories burned over a 24-hour period between those who eat or skip breakfast. The next point I'd like to address is, does skipping breakfast cause weight gain? And again, this is a myth. People who skip breakfast actually tend to weigh more than those who don't. And this may seem paradoxical because how can skipping a meal result in somebody weighing more? Well, some claim that skipping breakfast actually causes you to overeat later throughout the rest of the day because you're hungry or you have higher hunger pangs in your body. And although this seems to make sense or seems to be true, it's actually not supported by the evidence. And what is true is that skipping breakfast does cause people to be more hungry, and in turn they tend to eat more food for lunch. But it's not enough to overcompensate for the food they lost in skipping breakfast. In fact, some studies have even shown that skipping breakfast may reduce overall calorie intake by up to 400 calories a day on average. This seems logical because you're effectively removing an entire meal from your diet each day. So interestingly, the eat/skip breakfast dilemma was recently tested in a high-quality randomized trial, and this was a 4-month-long trial that looked at 309 individuals that were all obese or overweight, both females and males, and after the 4-month period, they came to the conclusion that there was no difference in weight in either of the groups. So eating breakfast or skipping it simply has no effect on your overall weight. The bottom line here is that higher quality studies show it makes no difference whether people eat or skip breakfast. In fact, skipping breakfast does make you eat more at lunch, but it's not enough to overcompensate for the breakfast skipped in the morning. The next point I'd like to address is, why do breakfast eaters tend to have healthier habits? And it is true, many studies show that those who eat breakfast tend to be healthier overall. However, these studies are observational, so they cannot, demonstrate causation. And what these studies can show is that, those who eat breakfast are more likely to be healthier, and they just simply can't prove that it's because of breakfast that these individuals are healthier. So some of the things that breakfast eaters have and some of the things that non-breakfast eaters have include breakfast eaters tend to be less likely to be overweight or obese. They also have a lower risk for several chronic diseases. They tend to have a healthier diet of more fibers and nutrients. And non-breakfast eaters tend to drink more alcohol, they tend to smoke more, and they tend to work out less. So the chances are that breakfast eaters having a healthier lifestyle may have nothing to do with, eating the breakfast itself. In fact, these reasons that breakfast eaters are healthier on average may simply be due to healthier lifestyle choices and have nothing to do with breakfast eating at all. The bottom line here is that, breakfast eaters tend to be healthier and leaner than breakfast skippers, but this may be due to healthier lifestyle habits rather than breakfast eating at all. The final point I'd like to address is the positive and negative effects of eating breakfast and skipping breakfast. So, the positive effects of skipping breakfast is that it will actually reduce your caloric intake, and this can increase weight loss. It also tends to improve your metabolic health. It's important to state that, skipping breakfast does not suit everyone, and some of the negative effects of skipping breakfast are headaches, drop in blood sugar, faintness, and lack of concentration. So the bottom line here is that, skipping breakfast is a part of many diets, and especially intermittent fasting diets, and it can have benefits, but it can also have disadvantages. So, as I mentioned at the beginning of this video, breakfast is optional, and the evidence is clear that nothing is special about breakfast. In fact, it probably doesn't matter whether you skip breakfast or eat it, so long as you eat healthy throughout the day. So, to kind of recap, breakfast does not jumpstart your metabolism, and skipping it does not automatically make you gain weight or overeat throughout the day. So at the end of the day, it's optional and it boils down to personal preference. If you feel hungry in the morning, eat breakfast. If you don't, wait until you do. It really, as said, is a personal preference. And keep in mind that this does not apply to growing children, teens, pregnant women, and certain other populations that all have an increased need for nutrients throughout the day. In those populations, it may cause, adverse effects. So, does not apply to them. Personally, I don't feel hungry in the morning, so I actually don't eat breakfast. I typically wait until around 11 or noon when I do feel hungry, and that's when I choose to break my fast. And again, that's a personal preference. And yeah, I'd love to chat more about, intermittent fasting or ideas such as that for weight loss, because they can be a really easy option when it comes to losing weight or just eating less calories throughout the day. But when it comes to the idea of breakfast being the most important meal of the day, it's simply not true. So I hope you guys enjoyed today's video. If you did, give me a big thumbs up and hit the red subscribe button. I post every Tuesday and sometimes on Fridays, so stay tuned. Hit the bell icon if you want to be notified every single time that I upload. But I hope you enjoyed the video, and bye for now.